Hey there, all you creepers and reapers. Welcome to another episode of the Femme Fatalities. I'm your co-hostess, Anna, and I'm here with...
Hey, Grieflings and Frightlings, it's Margaret, and do we have a spooky, witchy cast for you today? Anna, what movie are we talking about?
Well, before I tell you, I think that I should invite all of our viewers to kick off their square-toed heels and maybe put your feet up and enjoy a special recipe of cream of leek soup. Because we're watching none other than The Witches!
Yes, the witches. All right, trigger warnings.
Rodents.
Yes, lots of rodents.
Witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could say child abuse, but on a metaphysical
Yeah.
level.
Yes.
Yes. Also, I'd say spare the rod, spoil the child, especially with Bruno.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Bruno.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lascivious characters. When we look at the hotel manager, Mr. Bean, definitely was a little lascivious there for the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Also, Bavarian tradition and folklore, familial relations, parental loss, so like filial loss. What else?
Yeah. Yeah, parental loss of a child, because grandma tells the story of the friend who went missing when she was little. Maybe coercion, a way that adults lie to children to get them to behave, which seems to be a theme with witches. Witches seem to be a way that society manipulates children to get them to behave, such as don't talk to strangers because it could be a witch and then she's going to abduct you and harm you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do have to say, even to this day, when I see any painting with a windmill or a Bavarian landscape in it, I get really close and look to make sure there aren't any people in it because
Oh.
that movie, I saw it as a small child. I think it just has stayed with me since my childhood.
Yes. Well, that movie made you afraid. So again, witches play on this theme of the independent woman. And so another movie that made you as a child afraid of a independent single woman, because then she must be a witch, she must be out to harm you and no good. So look at how society there forces conformity to small children. You don't want to be an independent woman because then you're going to eat children and be a bad person. I know as a kid, I was like, oh my gosh, a single
Yeah.
woman living by herself. She has to be evil. She's going to want to like do harm to you. And there was a woman that lived in like this kind of rundown house in our neighborhood, and she had like bottles in the window. We all thought it was a witch's house. I don't
She
even
was
know if
like,
I ever saw the woman. Yeah, a friend said a woman lived there, but we're like, we would cross the street because a witch had to live in that house who was going to want to gobble up our souls. And it's probably the
Yeah.
sweetest, nicest person that lived in that house.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's funny because one of my neighbors has grandchildren that come over and visit frequently, and now they're getting older. But when they were smaller, because I love Halloween so much, and I do, like, I am very pale with intense features. So they would refer to me as the witchy lady. Which I loved, but I just always thought it was so funny that they would be like, oh, there's that witchy lady again. But it is really funny how children see that. But when you look at like these characters in The Witches, you have these like gorgeous glam-tastic women, right? Until they're in private quarters only with each other do they reveal their true faces. But generally speaking, they're attractive, they're presentable, they're courteous, they're all of these things that women are supposed to be. And as you talk
Yes.
about the rebellion against female stereotypes and those sorts of things, you know, when you take off your gloves and your shoes and your wig and you take your false teeth out and all of these things to reveal who you really are, well, maybe that's a way of shedding society's pressure.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask as you say that. Do you feel like as we see who they are behind closed doors, it's making a commentary on how women are expected to present, and then how, especially, it feels like the masculine facing will make comments. Oh, she looked this way when we met, and then in the
Mm-hmm.
morning she looked this other way. She wasn't even who I thought she was,
Yeah.
and yet women are expected to present a certain way.
Oh, I completely agree. 110%. And I do also think that the what is it, Miss Irvine, the lady who's the good witch, who also
Mhm.
played Bubbles in Absolutely Fabulous, which watching it now I'm like, aha. But you know, she's the good witch. So her internal beauty is reflected on the outside, right? She doesn't have
Mhm.
all of these hag-like features, and you know, you see that the goodness is restored. But I love in the original how at the end she's still a witch. She's a good witch, right? Because she restores Luke and Bruno to little boys, right? So she's like kind of
Mhm.
heart. And I like the idea that you could be a good witch or a bad witch, and that who you truly are is what comes through. And maybe, you know, Angelica Houston's character as the Grand High Witch, maybe she just had a cruel heart at the end of the day that
Yeah.
had nothing to do with her witchcraft. It just had everything to do with who she was as a person. And I think that can be
Yes.
seen in both feminine and masculine facing people, right? And the funny thing is, though, watching it as an adult, I had a different perspective than as a child when the girl that worked as a housekeeper at the hotel got into the potion and she thought it was perfume, so she grew mouse hair.
Mhm.
And then the hotel manager got grossed out. But then I'm thinking to myself now as an adult, I'm like, ew, he's the one having an affair with one of his employees. Like, he should be
Mhm.
growing weird hair in strange places, not her.
Yes. Ooh, yeah. And I love how you touch on, right, the good witch, and right, it's what we have in our heart, not
Mhm.
necessarily anything else. And I also think you touch on this movie, as we have talked about baby horror in the past.
Mhm.
Baby horror has come a long way. This movie was terrifying. It was scary. It was, yeah, it was like
Yeah.
watching a horror movie, which we were watching
Mhm.
along with baby horror.
Yeah. But and the same turn, I loved it as a kid. I just thought it was great. I mean, just even the voice inflection, like once her true face is showing and the Grand High Witch is talking and she has that like raspy, like a child must be
Hmm.
destroyed type of voice. It's just so delightful. And even like this fretting, almost annoying voice that Luke has when he's so scared. He's like, you know, and it's just, it's so theatrical. And I just think that's part of what makes it great.
Yes, it is very theatrical, and it's an interesting movie, as you also touch on, like the generations. Like this older generation is not understanding the younger generation, so let's just wipe them out. We'll turn them all
Yeah.
to mice. And
I know. It just, and
yeah.
what a selection. I mean, I do think, though, at the end, where, you know, they've consumed the potion in the soup, um, the creepy hairless like type of mouse that the Grand High Witch turns into, that just, even to this day, it just makes me laugh because, you know, she's still got
Yes.
that like raspy haggard voice and she's like, get away you know, just,
Mhm.
it's funny too. I think it's great. It's
Yes.
scary. It's funny. It's a great movie to watch as an adult, as a kid. Definitely, if you have children, probably under 5 or 6, you may want to check their horror tolerance because the witches are scary looking in this movie.
Yes.
It's great
Yes.
scary, like even to the details of the Grand High Witch and how she's so old and droopy that her earrings are just dragging the skin of her ears down almost
Mhm.
to her chest.
Yes.
I it's no kind of detail was spared, and I love that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
The effects are great. Yeah, it just yeah, I agree with you. I know you didn't watch the newer witches with Chris Rock, Octavia Butler, and it has some of the same themes. The newer one, I'll throw this in there for our listeners and viewers, it touches on family traditions, I think, more than the original did. And I was looking at my notes, and it feels like the movie takeaway was life changes all of us, natural order of things. It felt like
Mhm.
the newer one was really trying to bring that home as Chris Rock is gonna fight and believe in that one. Viewers, listeners, correct me if I'm remembering wrong. He stays a mouse. He doesn't ever get turned back
Oh
into a
my
child
gosh.
in the new one. Yeah,
Wow. Okay,
he
maybe I
stays a
do need
mouse,
to
I
see it.
believe. Because I think he's got the little projector, like training future kids to fight the witches. So
Yeah.
again, we go into the generational battles.
Mhm. Wow. Okay, I may need to watch the new one. We'll do a short if I do. I will say I was very excited to see Octavia Spencer because I adore her. Didn't know that
Spencer,
Chris Rock.
sorry. Octavia
So
Butler's a
this is
writer. Sorry.
oh no, it's all good. But I didn't know you. Margaret told me that Chris Rock was in it, which I didn't realize. So that's kind of the big deciding factor. I was really upset at the selection for the Grand High Witch because I think that there are other choices that could have been made. And keep in mind, this is no hate on Anne Hathaway. Like, Devil Wears Prada was one of the most iconic movies for me when I was younger and it came out. So, no hate, no shade. But you've got in the original film someone who has played Morticia Addams, who has played all of these different characters, who is so known in Hollywood for a variety of things. And I really wanted someone who was more aligned with horror, with those sorts of
Mhm.
things, to be the Grand High Witch. And that's,
Yeah.
well, that's just my 2 cents. Like I said, I could watch it and be totally wowed by her, and maybe I will be, but like most horror fans, I think some of us have our own way of thinking about movies that we saw,
Mhm.
particularly when we were kids, or things that we just love. So if they remake it, it's difficult to kind of be like, okay, this is next. So I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a shot.
We'll see. It's cutesier. It's definitely got way more Disney vibes than the original. It also does touch on, right, the grief more of losing parents. Like we
Mhm.
see that journey more with Chris Rock's kiddo than we do in the
Mhm.
original. So we see that a bit more in how grandma tries to help him to find happiness and to
Mhm.
break out of his shell. So that's why he gets his little pet mouse, is because he's so sad. So how is she helping him to find joy in life
Mhm.
when he's grieving? So I do appreciate that. And the newer one, but as you say, the older one,
Mhm.
it's more horror. It's more
Yeah.
scary. It's more meant to scare you. I'd say the new ones like inspire you. Yeah, yay,
Mhm.
go little mouse children. Where the other one, you're
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, like this is
Mhm.
scary.
Yeah, and and maybe I would say the remake is probably more aligned with true baby horror that a kid of any age could probably watch it, whereas the original, you may want to look at like fourth, fifth, sixth grade as a good starting age for these. I mean, I would say that Margaret and I both grew up with a lot of freedom. So we've been watching slashers for a really long time. I mean, when you've got, at least for me, when you've got parents that love horror, you're eventually a latchkey kid and you have cable. I mean, that's a recipe to create a horror fanatic. So,
Yeah,
yeah, and yeah.
exactly. And yeah, as you touch on that, right? Like we did not have the same censorship a lot of younger
Mm-hmm.
generations have. And I think I shared this before. Like when my mom decided to do that, it was like in 7th or 8th grade, and I was like, it's too late. Like me and my sister have been watching stuff like this probably since
Mm-hmm.
like kindergarten. Like you want to
Yeah.
tell us no? Where were you
Mm-hmm.
Saturday morning when we were watching some obscure horror film on cable
Yeah.
because we had access to that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think for my parents, it was more of, we know where you are if you're at home watching a scary movie. Um, like it's pretend. Like you need to know the difference between pretend and
Mhm.
not to be afraid versus real dangers in the world. So, yeah, but it was
Yes.
definitely a different time. The 90s were a different time. Um, but they were a good time. So I have to ask you, who do you most relate to in the movie?
Oh, I don't know. Who do you most relate to? I'm disappointed in myself. Usually I make a little note in
Oh,
my notes. This whole series that we're doing, I did not make notes. So,
it
I
is
don't
all
know.
good.
Maybe the nice witch? I'm not sure. You?
I think probably Bruno's mom. Just because, like, she's definitely like that doting person. Like, I love you, baby. Whatever you need, whatever you want, I got you. And I think that, like, for my friends and family, I try to be that doting person. Like, okay, something's happened to you that's kind of shocking to me, but let's realign things and figure out what life looks like. You want a candy bar? Here are five. Like, you're gonna be okay. So I
Yeah.
really I love the fact that she constantly worries about everything all the time, yet she like dotes on everyone and tries to like make sure everybody's okay. And also her
Yes.
glasses, like the iconic scene where she's like, oh, I love that. I hope I did her
Yes.
justice.
Yay.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. And also, if you had your choice of an undesirable critter to be if you took a spoonful of that soup, what would you be and why?
An undesirable critter.
Yeah, which I love
Ooh, I think I'd
most
be
of
a
the creatures. But yeah, whatever people think of as like
raccoon.
vermin or would you?
Yes.
You would have
Yeah.
like hands then. That's awesome.
Yes, and I'd be digging through stuff and enjoying myself, finding treasure in somebody else's trash. Yes, how about you?
I think probably a possum, just because then I could find a nice tree
Ooh.
and like stretch out my back and relax. And I think that they're cute. I think possums are very
Mhm.
cute, but probably a possum because I feel like they scare people a lot. So I have a higher ratio of just being left alone to like live my little creature life while I try to figure out how to become a human again.
Yes. Ooh.
And then we can scavenge in the trash together. I would stand guard,
Yes.
right, with my crazy beady eyes and my big teeth. And then you could like grab stuff and you could even grab like books so we can find a bunch of witchcraft books to steal. So I would run into the bookstore and be like,
Yes.
possum. And then you could run in and take the books and because we'd still have human souls so we could read them. Yeah,
Yes. I love that
we
idea. Perfect.
already have a plan. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you have that elixir, you get two people here who already have a plan. So don't be putting it in our food. Thank you.
Yep. Yep.
Listeners, though,
Love
like,
the
what about
churros.
you? Listeners, like, if you had a cup of that soup or a bowl of that soup, what would you like to become? What would you see your critter life, and how would you restore to your human life, or would you stay a critter? Let us know. And also, if you've seen both movies, what do
Yes.
you think? Should I see the remake, or should I just be satisfied with the original? Let us know your thoughts.
Yes. Ooh, yes. Thanks for watching, listening. Don't forget, like, subscribe, follow, and Anna.
Make sure you drink your Bruja brew, eat your coffin cookies, howl at the moon, and stay spooky. Bye bye.
Bye.